Also, that going back to that question of should I grow seeds or should I grow produce, I think a lot of that has to do also with the question of, well, you're niching yourself. What are your market options? Um, Now, there's an old order Mennonite relative of mine in Berks County, Pennsylvania, who raises peppers. He also saves seed, but he can't do it very well because he has 800 varieties in his fields. He's the biggest pepper grower I think, on the East Coast. But he's selling heirlooms, and last year he was smiling because some of the heirloom tomato seed that he got from us, he was selling to New York, the tomatoes, for $24 a quart. No way is this man going to get into seeds when he can sell to high-end restaurants. That is wholesale, by the way, $24 a quart. I have no clue what the restaurants were charging for these $100 salads, if you want to know my opinion. Now, when we process our tomatoes, we ferment the seed, but as soon as we chop everything up and we've got these buckets of raw fruit, the chefs in Philadelphia come out and take it off our hands.
Well, what do they do with it?
They make sauces. They make all kinds of things.
So you need to keep your containers then pretty clean for food processing,
We keep our
right?
containers. Everything is spotless. You could eat off the floor of the greenhouse. So they then put on their menu that this is heirloom X tomato sauce from the Roughwood collection, which gives us some exposure. And they give us money, or we donate it to one of the food banks. It never goes to waste. It never goes to compost. That waste thing is that's one of my Quaker upbringings. Waste not, want not. So we always find a use for that kind of thing. Yeah, and peppers. Peppers are a real headache. The hot ones, getting the seeds. We have cried many days.
Yes, us too. Many days. I have most of my seeds are actually processed in the kitchen because I'm also one that I can't stand to waste stuff. So all of our tomatoes, we open them up carefully. I don't grind them. I don't have a grinder, but also I'm meticulous with getting the seeds out of them because I really want to save the pulp. You know, we use that all winter long. And, I mean, there are outlets. I've sold, oh, gosh, no telling how many jars of tomato juice. I have a friend of ours that really likes Bloody Marys. And so that's what she would do with her tomato juice. And she'd buy about 400 jars of it. So, yeah. So, I mean, and so growing
She drank
seeds,
a lot of Bloody Marys.
She actually would buy, I don't know how many she drank, honestly, but she...
Probably just one big one.
Yeah, probably. Continual, I guess. But she would buy jars and store them, you know, because tomatoes store for a long time. She'd buy them, and she'd have cases of tomatoes stuffed under her beds in her guest rooms and stuff. But it was a good outlet, you know. It's a good outlet for us. And so, like with the habaneras and Buena Mulata pepper that I grew last year.
Buena Mulata?
Buena Mulata. That's one of yours.
That came from our collection.
Yeah, it's one of your collections.
I thought so.
Jan produced it last year for us.
Awesome.
That's a good
pepper. That is an awesome pepper. Awesome. I loved it all the way around. Best flavor. Heat. It had heat, but it wasn't overly hot, you know, like a habanero hot. And but anyway, so I would, again, carefully get the seeds out of it and lay the seeds out to do their drying. And the pepper skins, what was left, has all that wonderful flavor and stuff. So I would take them and put them into our dehydrators and dry them up really good and grind them and mix them with sea salt and organic sugar and make a pepper salt out of it that is just great on everything.
Wow.
You know, everything you can eat.
So dual purposing the produce that you grow, the seeds that you
Yes.
grow, the fruit crop. I'm not going to lie to you folks. Baker Creek Seeds hasn't gotten very efficient at utilizing the waste material. We call it the waste material. We compost it, okay? It does go back on the gardens. But we don't have the means right now to spend that much time, you know, taking a spoon and getting every little cavity out of every tomato. So we've got so much going on, and we just don't do it. I would like to see us there, though. And David, you and I have had that conversation a lot, that we just hate that we're having to compost all of this, let's call it the well, the pulp, okay, let's just, for lack of a better term, just the pulp, and only save the seeds, but that's where we're at.
One of the growers that we use a lot, she is actually a garlic specialist, but she's a member of Seed Savers Exchange and absolutely one of the best seed savers going. So we can trust her to grow things for us. When she was growing tomatoes, and she always does that for us every year, she really makes more money off of the of the chopped tomatoes than off the seeds that she's growing for us, because we said, look, we want the seeds. Whatever you do with the tomatoes are up to you. She took them over to a cannery and turned them into salsa and ketchup, which she's selling online at a huge profit.
Oh, great.
So, but she was clever enough to put two and two together to do that. So I'm all for that kind of thing, and I hope some of our other growers will do that.
Absolutely.
Being very creative with this otherwise waste. Oh, it's not waste if it's compost. If it's going back into the garden, I suppose you can justify it.
Yeah, I've just
rather
always had
see
the
it as
opinion, like
sauce.
Jan says, that we probably are missing out on some utilization of that pulp that would be better than just composting.
Well, you could have a Baker Creek brand ketchup or something,
I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, processed tomatoes. You know?
Absolutely.
Vegan
Start the
ketchup.
jar.
Yeah. When you start looking at the difference in profit, as far as like whether you can make more money selling at farmers markets or can you make more money growing seeds, or it's good to do a balance. It's really good. I find that you can, and then too, you want to look at your isolation as far as growing seeds. You don't want to plant anything that could cross pollinate or anything with your seeds. But what you can do is you can grow a garden of the same seeds. So in other words, if you've got a variety of tomatoes that you're growing for Baker Creek, you can also grow some plants for sale, for selling the tomatoes
Grow
specifically.
multiple, in excess number of plants that you
Right.
really don't need for the seed production.
Yes. Grow
you
more
can sell the
plants.
produce. So
Yeah, so you can
Good
kind of
idea.
do both. And the other, the processing, like with me, when I go in there and I process the seeds out and everything, and selling those tomatoes, you can actually make more money by selling processed food than you can, because majority of people do not want to process. They want to go and open a jar and dump it.
oh, that's a shame.
And it's terrible. But, it's good for people that are growing stuff, and you've got plenty of vegetables that you can process. You can get a premium for processed food,
Wow.
that's organic or, that's ready to go. Put it in a pan, ready to go. So you can actually make more money doing it that way. You can collect your seeds, and then you've got all of this excess that you can actually sell as processed food.
There's another way of looking at this. There was a member of Seed Savers Exchange. He has passed away. His name was Darrell Merrill, and he lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, he grew heirloom tomatoes, but he had no place to sell them. There was no local restaurant scene or anything of the kind. He got the bright idea of setting up a tent like this in the spring and filling his greenhouses with tomato plants, putting them out and having this monstrous tomato plant sale in May for $4 to $8 a plant, depending on how big they were. And he made $200,000, in a week, and he
Wow.
didn't
Good
have
grief.
to work the rest of the year. So there you go. He niched
year after.
himself because he got himself on television, and he got people to come in from all over the Midwest.
Created
because
his own market.
He created his own market, and he was a big jolly man, so he was very good at marketing things. And it was amazing. I saw this in action. So, you have to be a little bit creative, and sometimes farmers aren't. They need to be walked through. But this guy figured out how he could make his money, and he did very well at it, just like James Weaver in Pennsylvania with his valuable tomatoes that go to New York. So it's all on sizing up your local scene.
The family I told you earlier that lives in Kansas that's in this dilemma right now, they told me that they don't have a nearby produce market to go to. So I'm liking that for my benefit, because they're kind of leading towards seed production. They're more than likely going to diversify. You have a very diverse farm. You're into rabbits. wonderful mosaic tile artist right here. I've seen her website, and it's okay for you if you want to plug that. Go to her website and what's it called?
Tile Designs by Jan Marie.
What?
Tile Designs by Jan Marie.
Tile Designs. I can't say it with a southern accent. Tile Designs by Jan Marie, but
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
beautiful mosaics. So very diversified, and they do other stuff on their farm too, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter raises mini Rex rabbits, and we show pretty much so nationally mini Rex rabbits. So she's done real well with them.
so on your farms, you're not going to, if you are just a one-dimensional farm and you're wanting to profit on that, it's difficult to do. My daughter just married into a family, also in Kansas, who owns a blueberry operation. Wonderful people, diligent blueberry farmers. They ship blueberries all over the world, but that is all they do. You know, they don't have another revenue stream to depend upon or to add to that. Maybe a little bit. That might be an over-exaggeration, but diversify. You know, just like in your diet, you got to diversify. So too on your operation. So seed production isn't necessarily going to be your windfall, okay? But as I said, I've got growers that are making thousands of dollars every year, and they put effort into it, and they send me a good product, and they get paid for it. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the pricing that we offer for seeds. Tomato seeds, we pay $22 an ounce. Watermelon, I pay $65 a pound. Corn, I pay $8 a pound, which translates to something like $450 a bushel. Okay, so what's corn? Anybody know what corn's bringing on the market right now, a bushel?
Yeah, you can get it for $3.83, $3.85.
$3.85 a bushel. Okay, and $3.85 a bushel, where ours comes out to, you know, hundreds of dollars a bushel. The only difference is at $3.85 a bushel, they might sell 10,000 bushels. Okay, whereas we only buy about 300 to 500 pounds of a corn contract from a grower. But at 500 pounds, at $8 a pound, $4 grand.